My dear friends, today the Jesuit house is blessed. Do you know why? You know why the Jesuit house is blessed? You know, in Indian tradition we have Atithi Devo Bhava. When the guests come, so they bring the blessings. And today all of you are blessing to the Jesuit house. It is not only for the Jesuit house, for the good humanity. So my dear friends, I take this privilege to welcome each one of you. For the Swamy, I know very well because before his death, I was his driver for a few months in Bangalore, and he could share and he could reflect and he could tell one thing: take care of my people. And he would use 3 words: protect them and integrate them. And that's what his life has been. So I don't want to more elaborate on the life of Swamy, but I take this opportunity to welcome each one of you. That shows that you are, loving the person who is no more, but willing to carry his legacy forward. And that's why our theme says, can a caged bird sing? And after the question mark, there is something else. Yes, to us. And that is what, after seeing that invitation, all of you have responded. Because there is a spark in each one of us to sing that song of freedom. So my dear friends, I welcome on behalf of the provincial and the Korea community and also the Jesuit community of the Goa province. So have a nice time so that we walk together towards the point which Father Swamy has pointed to each one of us. Have a nice time.
Well friends, it's a privilege to be here moderating this session. and having four great voices expressing their views and sharing with you the thoughts about Father Stan Swamy. Well, my dear friends, the song sets a tone for today's discussion. And this discussion is a celebration. Let me remind you, we are celebrating 2 years of martyrdom of Father Stan Swamy. And if we are celebrating by sharing some thoughts. And today's session is going to be this way. We have 4 eminent speakers among us who will be sharing their thoughts on the life of Father Stan Swamy, or his work, or his life, and the work that he was related to. They will speak or share for 10 minutes each. And when they finish, that is 40 minutes of enlightenment for each one of us, then we can all be part of this discussion. We can share our own thoughts too. Of course, this is not a debate as such, but sharing of thoughts on the 2nd anniversary of martyrdom of Father Stan Swamy. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, if you are ready, then let me, without wasting any time, call up our 4 speakers for this evening. Mr. Blaise Costeville, please come forward.
We must be the change we wish to see. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse the leading, but this is the first time I'm doing something non-business. So I didn't want to mess it up. I did not know Father Stan or the work he did till I read about him in the newspapers, like I'm supposed many of you. What I know is easy to find out on Google, so I won't repeat it. However, I would like to say that the Lord's ways are mysterious. If Father Stan had not gone through these trials and tribulations, I doubt he would have been sitting here today and pushing his work forward. He may have said a mass this morning for his soul and everyone had gone home. But he's actually living on with the programs such as this to raise awareness, and it will surely inspire more individuals and communities to stand up against injustice in whatever form. What Father Stan did, and for what he suffered injustice, is that he went and worked with the community to fight for justice, to give a voice to the voiceless. A community is very important. It is appealing. What one does for a community continues to be visible to the community, as you can see. It instills pride, ownership, and a great deal of responsibility. A community comes together to raise its young and support the weak. Communities can thus be more than the sum of individuals who compose it. An important function of communities is to have some influence over the way they are governed, and thus a sense of control over their lives, as well as a sense of public responsibility. Today, decision-making in government is decentralized, aka the Panchayati Raj. To the extent that individuals can organize collective political action within a community more easily, it affords a vehicle to affect issues on a national scale. Thus, communities magnify the power of an individual. This is where Father Stan came from. He may not have known the theory, but can be found in the book The Third Pillar by Raghuram Rajan, the former RBI governor. Today, more than ever, we need to rebuild or work on this community spirit to address the injustices before us. As a country, we are definitely more prosperous than 50 years ago. But are we freer? A joke can get you in jail for years without a trial, but you can be let off for gang rape because you belong to good stock. While the leadership wishes to have one law for the nation, there is absolutely no view on the same law behaving differently for different individuals. Father Stan was a victim of this and continues to be. To be able to address issues, one section that needs to be motivated, empowered and made aware of is the youth. However, that in today's world is very difficult. While we can always blame the government for the various ills and injustices, we can always ask and want the government to do this and that. Can we stop and ask ourselves, by we, I mean the church, the universal church. I take this liberty and this is a Jesuit church initiative. The Pope is a Jesuit and I do not think any other Pope has made such an impression on the laity as Papa Francis. He wants the laity to be involved and alive just like Christ. After all, you are in the middle. And without you, there is no church. I hope that the church leadership understands this. In 2014, I wrote about a Hindu businessman questioning the political and religious bygones. I felt then, and now also, it's the best way to combat what is happening around. These groups create fear and fuel an unjust system to further their own ness. It is the moderate forces within each religious group that must stand up and put the bygones within the religious group in their place. I would like to quote what I said then. Similarly, as a Catholic, I feel it is time the Catholics took a stand and distanced themselves from religious or unjust politics. It is time the Church took a Christian look at politics to save this crumbling edifice of public morality called politics. These unscrupulous and corrupt Christian or Catholic politicians also use caste and community to further their own agendas, with the Church acting as a silent spectator. Calling the Church a silent spectator would not be too harsh. The Church actually participates in making these politicians pillars of society. These corrupt politicians contribute financially to the Church activities and are thus given pride of place in Church affairs. So why would you blame the youth for taking up the path of such leaders? What is the example for the youth to follow? The youth seek the social acceptance of these overnight rag to riches successes and want to follow in their footsteps. We in turn create more corrupt leaders rather than breaking or grooming better leaders. The Church needs to break the cycle. Unquote. 10 years later, these thoughts are more relevant and the environment is getting more conducive for doing something. It's time. I would give you many examples, but I'll skip them. For starters, should we not refuse to take donations from people by name? You know that the guy giving a generator is not giving it from his pocket, he's giving it from some corrupt money he got or he's forcing someone to give, but he still take it and put their name on it. Pride of place at the feast mass and call them as chief guests to functions where youth are involved. How many times was Father Stan invited as a chief guest or given the first row in at the old Goa feast? I put this forward for you to think about in our quest for a just society. We worry about government pushing back, but for my views, my friends feel I'll be excommunicated. I'm happy to see Father Bolman here, as he is one priest who is empowering the youth, and he's not just making them activists, but informed and better citizens. His recent video on the Martydom is so balanced and yet so powerful, kind of teaching them to fish, but also having being sustainable citizens. So while we discuss human rights and other injustices, we should remember that for this fight, we need the youth. We cannot do it ourselves because the fight is not for a day, but continues because injustice continues. We need to give the youth better role models. If the legacy of Father Stan is to live on, we, the Church, must make a change. We will have to change if we want to see if the caged bird is going to sing. May Father Stan's soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Well, that's Blaise Kostabir, as always, straight to the point, straight from the heart. And he has brought before us such beautiful thoughts. First of all, although he said it's non-business, yes, but there is a business. And the business is just like business gives an opportunity. He has told us how Father Stan is an opportunity for all of us. An opportunity to open our mouths, to open our minds. And he has also brought before us that Panchayati Raj, that is part of our Indian constitution. It allows our involvement in the community, each one of us. Not only Father Stan Swamy, but each of us is allowed to be part of that Panchayati Raj. And the question that he has asked us, are we freer today? This question will go on in our mind for quite a long time. Are we freer today? And if not, then what is the thing that we are going to do? As different laws are being exercised for different citizens based on various type of differences. And yes, he has brought before us the importance of involvement of the lady and the beautiful thought, you are in the middle of the church. So if you are in the middle of the church, then distancing from corrupt and unjust politics applies to each one of us. Not just lady, but the church hierarchy and church members, all of us, distancing from the unjust and corrupt politics. And example or model is required for our youth today. That is a beautiful point that is raised. Our youth need inspiration. And my dear youth, if you need inspiration, as Les Pastapir has told us, Father Stan Swamy is a model, is an inspiration, and each one of us as laity and as church need to bring this example and inspiration for all our youth today. Father Stan Swamy is a role model, so also each one of us can be the same. And then the bird in the cage will keep singing. So this was Les Pastapir before you. If you allow me, I'll move to the next speaker. The open house will be at the end of all four speakers speaking. I have before you a great thinker, a thinker who thinks on the ground and especially active during the election time. And not only election time but all other time, Mr. Prabhakar Timble. Mr. Prabhakar Timble is an educationist and a commentator on legal and political issues. He has served several education institutions and a couple of management institutes as well. He was also the State Election Commissioner of Goa a few years back. And today we have Professor Prabhakar Timble sharing with us his thoughts on Father Stan Swamy.
My tribute to Father Stan Swamy, the human rights activist. This one. This is forward. Okay. Human rights activist and who fought for the right of Dalits and right of tribals. प्रेजेंटेशन इतलेंच खातीर घाला की म्हाका उलोवपाक कमी पडचें म्हणून आवाज कमी आयकलो तूं वाचलो जाल्यार तुका समजतलें. Anyway, all of us know this. He was accused of terrorism and jailed at the age of 83. The funny part is what's happening in the country today. The NIA opposed release despite suffering from Parkinson's and anything else. Anyway, a person of 83 can be a terror threat. So we are observing the second death anniversary, and that means he is with us forever. What inspires us and motivates us are his talks, exchanges, speeches, and his work. A few quotes of his which can inspire, as I have put up there: human rights defenders are repressed but not defeated. So we cannot give up hope. There cannot be a defeat. We may be repressed, but there will be always light at the end of the tunnel, as you say. Finally, Every cage bird will come out of the cage and sing, not only in the cage. Why truth has become so much bitter, dissent so intolerable, and justice out of reach, at least in the last 10 years. So that was another of his quote, why each dissenter is put behind the bars. Friends, I was told that we should share something on human rights because human rights was an issue which has been dear not only to Father Stan Swamy but to the Jesuits also. Jesuits, their main involvement has been in the field of education and human rights, tribal rights, rights of Dalits. So let me say a few things on human rights. When we speak on human rights, we always think of our Indian Constitution. We started the whole program by reading the preamble. And since we started by reading the preamble, I'll just go back, I'll just go back to the first slide. Maki ek savoy bulletin out of context holopachi. So what slides are there? They are in context. But I have a habit to speak out of context because I want to leave something in the minds of everybody before my 10 minutes lapse. So when we say we stand with Stan Swamy, there is another person with whom we will have to stand maybe after 5 years. Because there will be nobody to stand with him. And that is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. You forgot I said. Everybody will forget him. Because there is a constituency for Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. He has his constituency, the Dalits. They will stand with Babasaheb Ambedkar. There is a constituency for Mahatma Gandhi. The whole world will stand with him. But Jawaharlal Nehru is losing his constituency. And when we read the preamble, when we talk of human rights, when we talk of parliamentary democracy, when we talk of right to dissent, when we talk of the freedoms, when we talk of the modern India, when we talk of scientific temper, and when we want to see that our society continues to be secular, all these seeds were sown by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. It is his earlier years which shaped India. And now when we are looking at India today from the India of the past, we say there is so much of departure because we know that what India should be and what is the idea of India. The idea of India was Jawaharlal Nehru's contribution in creation. And if we don't celebrate him as we celebrate Father Stan Swamy, after so many years, then nobody will remember him also. Let's come back to human rights. See, if in our constitution, if the fundamental rights are human rights, then the directive principles are human duties. When we speak of human rights, it has got a legal base, it has got a scientific base also, it has got a logical base, and that is our constitution. So when we look at the fundamental rights, we have the right to equality, right to freedom of association, right to life and liberty, right to a clean and safe environment, right to education, right not to be arrested, right of dissent, right of expression, and the freedom of choice. Choice of production, what I will produce. Choice of trading, what I will trade with. Choice to consume, what I want to consume, I have choice there. Choice of dress, choice of dance, choice of photography, choice of drawing cartoons, choice of expression of all forms. So that's what human rights are all about. And the directive principles are human duties. That is, the state will work for common good. In fact, when we see the directive principles, what it means is that all of us, the state also means all of us as human beings, which comprise the state, the community, the social community, the civil community, should work for social, economic and political equity and justice. Human rights are women's rights also. Human rights are rights of the minorities also. Now I have put the minority in red just to make one statement that there is sometimes something goes in the society that minority rights are majority wrongs. Because there are minority rights, it is a wrong done on the majority. This is because we don't understand what minority rights are. Minority rights are also rights of the majority in some cases. Because when we look at minority, we only think in terms of religious minorities. Minorities can be linguistic and cultural. Minorities can be based on geographical regions. All Indians in UK enjoy minority rights. All Indian Hindus, Indian Christians and Indian Muslims in UK enjoy minority rights because Asians are in a minority in UK. So what I mean to say is the minority rights are recognized by all civilized democratic societies. It is not something of a favor or of a concession. It is because if the society has to flower, then minority and majority, minority culture, language, lifestyle, both have to flower. Then the whole entire community and the nation flowers. So if Manipal Institute of Education, we have heard in Mahe, no? Manipal Academy of Education, they enjoy minority rights, they are Hindus. Hindus are not in a minority in Karnataka, but they enjoy minority, their education institutions enjoy minority rights because they are linguistic minority, cultural minority, they are Kokani. So in our constitution, we have got minority rights as religious minorities, linguistic minorities and cultural minorities. So that is a point which sometimes does not enter the minds of people. Then of course human rights are the rights of the depressed, of scheduled castes and of tribal communities. Now when you read the contribution of Father Swamy, you get an extended view of human rights also. And that extended view, I have just put the bullet points there. Protective discrimination is nothing but reservation. Reservation actually is an extended type of human right. Because when people are placed unequally, to promote equity, we need reservations. And today you find there is a lot of hue and cry going against reservations. Even the minority community, the well-to-do oppose reservations. Because if their son and daughter does not get a medical seat and the parents are doctors, they may be Hindus or Catholics, they will say, reservation, admission banned. So with that time before that protection to the unequals in a society is a kind of a human right. Fair and just compensation is a human right. That's what Father Swamy was working for. Fair and just compensation to the dispossessed, to people who lose their lands because of government projects or because of mining in the tribal belt. Displacement with consent is something which Father Swamy worked for. Displacement, okay, fine, but do it with consent. So the displacement of people does not result in permanent pain to the people. Because displacing with consent is a human right. Finally, displacement of some or the other kind will happen in a society as development proceeds. But that has to be with consent, that has to be with fair compensation and sustainable development. Friends, we are going through actually a dark period of human rights. You all know that. And I will not harp on it again and again. At least in the last 10 years, we find it's a very dark period. Just look at media surrender. That point, no more watchdog. Look at the media today. And the youngsters, at the back may not understand what I say because they have not seen the media 10 years back. So we have grown with the media. We have seen the media 10 years back. You look at electronic media 10 years back. What issues they were taking up, what debates they were engaged in, and what was the thrust in those debates. The content, I am not only talking about the quality and the content, and respect for dissent and how the debates were going on, the methodology and the style. Today, you don't feel like listening to the TV. So in 10 years, the change has happened. The media is not bending today, the media is crawling. And the media today is surrendered its responsibility to be the watchdog. You open up any newspaper today, mainstream media. If media has to attack anybody, they will attack the political opposition. They will not attack the political ruling. Whereas 10 years back, each and every news in the media, whatever comments were coming in the media, were attacking the political ruling. So such a revolution has taken place in media today. Total revolution, upside down, topsy-turvy. So that's what has happened today. So the opposition is being attacked because you are not living up to expectations of the people. The ruling is not attacked and they are not living up to expectations of the people. Arrests of social and human rights activists, I mean that's going on. Dissent countered by slapping sedition and terrorism laws, judiciary choosing hands off, tongue off. They stamp jail rather than bail. There is a sea change in the judiciary also. Sometimes we feel happy with the judiciary and we say, oh, our judiciary is good. Not as good as it was 10 years back. Risk factor is there. It is just like we are asking for a mercy from the judiciary. Earlier, we were knocking at the judiciary because judiciary is our right to give us justice. Now we are looking at judiciary as a mercy petition. Please give us justice. Change is taking place. This is a dark period. And as far as human rights are concerned, the currency which is in circulation today to attack human rights and to attack the human rights activists, the currency is of the Bharatiya Task Force. I am not using the word BJP because BJP has so many frontal organizations. And all those frontal organizations are nationalist organizations, keeping the nation strong, Bharatiya. The Bucks contingent, the social media brigade of the right wing, they use this currency to attack human rights activists. Human rights activism is anti-India propaganda. It is to defend India. It is anti-development. These human rights activists are jealous of India's development under Modi rule. There is a foreign hand working here. There is foreign funding. They are India haters and they only want to promote religious conversions in India. So there is a currency that is used today in the social media, which also, is getting some kind of a recognition from the mainstream media to attack human rights activists. So, we come to the three broad conclusions. In this nation where poets, social activists, writers, scholars, journalists, cartoonists, and even stand-up comedians, forget about writers and researchers, even stand-up comedians are jailed under draconian laws. The constitutional and democratic rights of people are definitely under threat. And when the judiciary of such a nation goes along with the government and submits to the executive, procrastinates in silence, then judiciary cannot guard freedom and liberties of the people. And when the mainstream media, regarded as the guardian pillar of a democratic nation, sings the praise of the government and consistently castigates the political opposition, the odds of the people rocket multiplied times. These three forces together are dangerous for India's standing tall after 75 years, tall as a democratic nation. Friends, the last point. Now let me come to Goa, because all of us would be interested in Goa. And when we talk of human rights, sustainable development, minority rights, the Goan society, what is the one single issue in Goa? That's what I feel, one single issue. Now what I have put up on the left are laundry list of issues. And all of you say yes, yes, you say yes, yes. Is secularism the issue? Yes, yes, definitely is the issue today. Because all our MLAs have joined the secular brigade. The secularism issue, threat of communalism in Goa is an issue which was not there in our society, our society. Every time when we write about Goa, the first sentence that we write about Goa is unique. It is different from the rest of India. And we can teach the rest of India a secular community life. That's what we say. But is there a threat of communalism in Goa now? Environmental degradation, unsustainable tourism, migration, immigration, pollution, Goa losing Goans. Nearly, I think, so many thousands leave Goa.
Goa losing Goikar Port is the issue of temples, rebuilding temples everywhere. After every kilometer, one temple. After every 2 kilometers, one church. And after every 4 kilometers, one mosque. I mean, is that our issue today? Or statues everywhere? So, one single thing I would like to say here before I close down is, the only single issue before Goa and Goans is land, nothing else. If you lose land, you lose everything. And that is the main problem, because in the last 5 or 6 years, and in the remaining 4 years of this ruling combination that we have up to 2027, no? After 2027, I doubt whether any land will remain for Goans to go. Because each and every department is after land. What is the job of the tourism department? Tourism department is growth of tourist traffic and tourist development, so that there is so that economic activity based on tourism flowers, and there is more self-employment and employment. But tourism department is also after land. They want to have jetties everywhere, so they want to acquire land for jetties. Then they want to give it to private entrepreneurs and capitalists on lease. So they are after land. Look at the archives department. They are also after land. They want to take this fort, that fort, and give it to private enterprise on lease. They also want to give land to somebody. I can understand TCP department is after that, because the job of TCP department is land, no? Yeah. TCP department, the fellow who came, young fellow who came for the first 2 years, he created a lot of fireworks. For the last 2 months, 1 month, one lot, yeah. People thought, and he was very happy. Rani Sahab aa gaya hai, he will do something. He started, I will nothing. I will see that this will happen, that will happen. Honeymoon period, 1 or 2 months. And now he has got so much changes that the power to convert land on individual basis, and the conversions are going on. See the TCP changes. Now, yesterday only we heard about Komunda, and we said not that everything is good with the Komunda, not that there is no corruption in the Komunda. And today the Chief Minister talked of privatizing agriculture. And yesterday the assent is today, before the assent is given for the Komunda land. So is the demand is already on the table of the government by people and by capitalists outside, to take this land in the name of agriculture. We don't know. So each and every department, like revenue department is after land. Sorry, the revenue department is again after land. So what was the issue with IIT? It was a land issue. It was not that people didn't want IIT. So land is the most important issue in Goa. And if we can't preserve land for locals and ourselves, then all other issues will collapse. There won't be any issue left. So the focus, I think, of NGOs, of people who think about Goa, who talk about Goikar Port, one single issue we have to focus is how we can preserve and protect Goans from losing their land. With this, I think 10 minutes are over.
देव बरे गुरु प्रोफेसर इल्ले कोंकणींतल्यान सुरू केल्ले आनी जमनीचेर हाडून पावयले आमकां. आनीक 10 मिनटां सुबेज जाली खरी, पण बंद करूंक ना, कित्याक today Father's 10th Swamy was standing over here. I felt perhaps he would have spoken these things, which we need to hear and which we need to reflect and which we need to think. So I'm sacrificing here. I wouldn't summarize the thoughts that Professor Pillai has put before us. We will have it very clear, and we need to think and we need to give it a thought. And now I present before you a third speaker, Advocate Afrin Khan. Advocate Afrin Khan is currently a practicing advocate. She is a member of Girls Islamic Organization, which works for the reconstruction of society in the light of divine guidance, which is very, very important. She worked in statewide campaigns like De-Addicting Goa, Female Feticide, and My Parents, My Paradise and other campaigns. She is also pursuing Masters in Criminal Law at PM Salgaonkar College of Law. Before you, Advocate Afrin Khan.
I'll start with a quote. Why truth has become so bitter, dissent intolerable, justice so out of reach. Unquote. Father Stan Swamy. Respected dignitaries of the panel and my fellow colleagues and the members of the audience. I greet you all with Islamic greetings, Assalamu Alaikum, which means peace of Almighty Allah be upon all of us. The tragic death of Father Swamy Stan, a human rights activist, a tribal activist, at the age of 84, is the lowest at which our judiciary could reach. Father was arrested, labelled as terrorist and detained on the basis of frivolous, fabricated evidence. This is really a dark phase for Indian judiciary, and we should fear this. A man who spent entire life for the welfare of marginalized sections of society, underprivileged sections of society, ensuring their rights are protected, for their welfare and their human rights, failed miserably with his own rights. We could not stand up to his rights too. The system failed him. Indeed, the life of Swamy stands so bright and so shiny that the failure of Indian judiciary system doesn't showcase, and his way of life is indeed an enlightening path for all of us. It is not hidden from us that there has been rapid growth of labeling dissent as anti-India, terrorist, and charging them with UAPA and sedition charges. At what cost? Because there are no serious evidences available. All the evidences which are available are either fabricated or created. The main issue why the government is so scared about dissent is that it knows its loopholes, it knows what it stands for, it knows how it will fall down. So what it needs is a strong opposition, a strong dissent from the public, because India indeed is a democratic country, and freedom of speech and expression covers right to dissent, which is also a basic human rights, and it's well protected in our constitution. It is one of the fundamental rights enshrined in our constitution. The Indian judiciary has rapidly held that right to freedom of speech necessary intense right to criticize and dissent. But unfortunately, cases like Father Stan Swamy, Umar Khalid and Safra Sagar are not unknown to us. It is the duty of the civilized society that we as one should stand against all the injustice and stand against all the oppressions of the ruling power, and stand without any distinction, without any differences of caste, creed, religion and gender. Here I would like to quote here I like to quote a verse of Quran which says, "O man, who believe, be persistent, standing firm in justice, witness of Allah, even if it is against yourself, against your parents, relatives, or whether one is rich or poor, Allah is more worthy of it." Here we have various directions given to us, so that we have to stand firm by Almighty, so that we don't let the government break us and do its own way. I am of the opinion that UAPA or NI Act are weaponized against Indians who held different view other than the government. Like the Delhi riots, we have Sharjil Imam and all other fellow colleagues of his who are just leading a protest against NDCA, but they are charged with sedition charges and UAP charges. Witch hunting against the human rights activists in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana is not also hidden from us. We also have seen how the farmers' protest was led to a different direction altogether. We have also seen journalists like Santosh Yadav, Siddiq Kapan and all those people who spoke and covered the incidents of rape and all the other, bringing out the sad part of our ruling people, were jailed and charges of sedition were put on them. I would say that the principles of criminal justice, that is, bail is a rule and jail is an exception, have been turned by the majoritarian government, and jail has become the rule and bail as an exception. And this rule is just for those people who speak the truth, and the perpetrators of hate are idealized, are touched, their feet are touched, respected, and are free to spread more hate and violate the rights of majority, minority and other marginalized communities. With all the situations of injustice and hate, let's not lose faith. Strive to achieve justice in society like Father Stan did till his last breath. I would quote Father and conclude my talk. What is happening to me is not something unique happening to me alone. It is broader process taking place all over the country. We all are aware of how prominent intellectual lawyers, writers, poets, activists, student leaders are put in jail because they have expressed their dissent on or raised question about ruling powers in India. So we are part of the process. As such, in a way, I'm happy to be a part of this process because I'm not a silent spectator, but a part of the game. I'm ready to pay the price, whatever it be. Unquote, Father Swamy.
You know her well, and she has been very vocative, talking so many things, expressing and doing so many things especially. We have before us Talula de Silva. Talula de Silva is an architect with deep sensitivity for environment. And she specializes in cost-effective and sustainable building. She is an active educator and a strong promoter of outdoor learning, a new type of learning that perhaps creates great citizens for us in our country, outdoor learning, practical learning. She is involved in various initiatives such as Kids for Tigers project and the Global Shapers community. She has also pioneered several urban intervention initiatives such as No More Zone, happens in Panjim, No Water Zone, and developed ecological projects such as Ecoloop. Talula has won several awards for her work and is an international speaker. The iGen magazine lists her as the 50 top architects that will shape India. And to shape our thoughts, I present before you Talula de Silva.
I thought I will share with you a perspective that is closest to my heart and definitely will make you also see the connection. There's a lovely message in the Bible where Jesus says, "Don't stop the children from coming to me, let them come to me." And of course, I didn't know Father Stan Swamy, but through his arrest and his life in prison and what unfolded later, to learn how his work with all of us as the children of God has a very strong message and values that we must try in whatever way we can to uphold. During the pandemic, I got an opportunity to work with my community children, and everybody would ask me, are they going? And I would say they're Indian, they're humans, and we all have rights. And there were Nepali children, there were children from Jharkhand, Bihar, UP, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Goa, and many others. You see some children here in what we call outdoor learning, experiencing, teaching. During the pandemic, you remember, right? Suddenly gadget screens became compulsory. Things that we were striving to keep children away. It became a new drug. And there were many children who could not afford it, who were completely taken, their opportunities were snatched away because they had no access to online classes. They had no gadgets, they had no screens, they had no computers. Some of us had that opportunity to share what we had, to share the shared spaces that we had, to allow children from all the migrant communities that lived around us to come and be with us. Some of them would be there the whole day because parents had to work. There was a little girl called Gauri and Ganesh. She was 6 years old. Mother would say, "मुझे काम पे जाना है, आप उसको रख सकती हो." We had no choice. We felt empathetic, and we found that some of the children were so skilled that we put any child going to a private school to shame. While we were taking some children to show them to identify a tree where we could build a tree house, there were these 4 children, Manish, Raja, Jaiprakash, and another boy, who had already built their tree house from waste material that was found in the neighborhood. An old mattress that was dumped, some planks, some ply, and they were having such a great time. We found some of them into delinquency at 13, 12. In the mixed group, the ones that were privileged also had an addiction. They were addicted to games. Parents wanted them to stay with us so that they could be de-addicted. There were others who were addicted to other addictions, substance abuse. So we had to also try to get them to focus on the skills that they had. I'm going to show you some images. The previous one, if you can go to the previous one. So some of the children here are from the community classroom. This is a walk. Mother Ballmai's had announced that this was, I think, a pilgrimage walk. It said if you can do a pilgrimage walk on this day, on Good Friday, it would be great. We did a walk to an island in the Swamy Bay. It's a rocky island. And at low tide, we would check the tide timing. At low tide, you can walk across. There's about water about this much. And we often do that. We walk with the children. And many of these children who are considered academically weak, dropouts, useless, troublemakers, are so smart, so intelligent, that often they are the ones who are finding us things out of curiosity, from their traditional knowledge, from their tribal past, which is so important to us today. Okay? So they find us different kinds of mollusks, kubbe, then the mother of pearl shell, right? It's called necker, different kinds of snails. Okay? And we often share it with our scientist friends to help us identify these. They also help us work on issues of environmental concern, to look at pollution and bioremediation. They have all the skills. If you take other children who are privileged, they will not be able to. And when we work with a mixed group, there's a lot of learning with both the different groups together. This is the Sandinesh Creek, where we did a floating garden. It's called the Red Crocodile. or bioremediation because it is so polluted. And often the so-called poor are blamed, but I always say how much can a poor man shit to be able to pollute. There's a lot of clandestine pollution coming from gated communities and others which goes unnoticed. And like our young friend advocate said today, what is wrong is seen as legitimate and what is right and truth is ignored. We've had children come and join us today's voice against the dying mangroves. They've understood there's no fear when we walk into these waters, whether it is toxic water, whether there is pollution in the water. These are part of the khazans. These are part of a community art project. Let's look at Goa and its assets. What are the oldest assets that Goa has? It's not only the churches that were built or the monuments that were built during the colonial period. We have a rich history. Khazans were built by our indigenous communities, understanding the lay of the land and the floodplains. These are non-cement concrete structures in comparison to the Atal Setu, which will last us only 15 years. These are sustainable development, climate resilient systems. Infrastructure like the Moorland forest, which needs to be protected, which gives us air, water, everything that we need. These are salt pans. We often create awareness about these. Who are the people that built these? And who are the people who are managing these? If you go to all the salt pans, who are the workers? They may not be Goans, but there are some Indians coming from indigenous communities, tribal communities. These particular salt pans that you see in Goa now, we have to barely about 30 in number. We have people from Gokarn who are coming, you know, the village of Gokarn. They come and manage a lot of manual labor. What are the indigenous systems that Goa has when we talk about Save Made and having water security? Do you know that Goa is already 52% desertified? What does it mean? We talked, Professor Prabhakar talked about land and the issue of land, right? Trees are getting cut, land is being sold, bought by ministers, right? And we have natural systems, indigenous systems, freshwater wells. Who are the people who knew it? I learned it from all my masons, for coming from tribal communities who knew that you have to take Rumrache Zard and Avrache Zard, you take the wood of that, make a plank at the bottom, you make a ring, and then you lay your stones to make a very sturdy, non-cement concrete ring well, right? So where are these gone? Where is the knowledge gone? If we don't protect our communities, this knowledge will also be lost. Mud building. It's been a number of years that I'm trying to promote the dream that Laurie Baker had of promoting mud as the most sustainable material. In the Konkan, do you know, our indigenous communities are the ones that protected this knowledge. Lateritic soil is like magic material. You don't need sand, so it addresses sand mining. You don't need laterite stone, so it addresses quarrying and mining. You have simple soil under your land that you can use for building. Here you see two young boys and some others taking the lead. They are again coming from indigenous communities with tribal knowledge. They are the ones who showed us how these walls are to be built by just adding water and shaping them into place. Don't you think that they have a right too? These are children from the Martydom community. How many of us know of their existence? Martydom are the monkey hunters. We have two nomadic tribes in Goa, Dhangars and the Martydom. Today their situation is abject. While we are selling land, they don't have land. And it was by a few individuals who were human rights activists who managed to give them temporary location in Niraka or Ponda. Some of my students were working on a project to give them a community space, a temporary structure. You can spend some time with the children here. Again, they're so smart, so intelligent, just waiting for opportunity, recognition of their rights. And then finally we come to the state of Goa. My co-panelists have already, and moderator have already highlighted this issue that Goa is at a stage, it's a dark period, we're losing land, and ironically, while the Ranis and others are selling land, do you know that in climate climate change, we are going to be under submergence. Do you know we'll have to try to live on water? We'll have to be climate refugees. The day is not far. Where is the land then that we are fighting for, we are trying to sell, right? It needs a collaborative, united effort. And children have rights too, to speak up and fight for that land. So in the work that we do, we also try to engage children in mixed groups, in all the campaigns, in Goa particularly. Even for Father Stan Swamy, we had a group of children who went for the memorial about a year ago and spoke up. This is for the no coal protest. In the night, you see children collected coal and sent a message. Mangrove tree plantation, which is a very important measure for mitigating climate change and protection of our coast, along with Father Bormax and the forest department. Who are these children? We say that they do not belong to our land, right? But yet we see their service everywhere in our community, whether it is in farming, whether it is in construction, whether it is in all these drives, we see them. And on one of the occasions, you see one gorilla planting next to the Panjim church. Of course, I managed to evade protest because I learned about my rights. I had a dog and some children. I asserted that I have children with me in my care, you cannot arrest me. Okay? But in the second last picture, there are children here who came for a gorilla plantation which was tried to be sabotaged by ministers and the representatives of our capital city. This is a path that was leading to the Miramar beach, Karanzane beach. And you know, the children faced so much intimidation. They were asked questions like, which school are you from? Tell us, what is your name? Because they wanted to go back to the school and see that the child got in trouble. This is the attitude that we all have. And yet we read messages that clearly say in the Bible, let the children come to us. Because there's so much we can learn from them. And let us not cage these birds because they will sing. Thank you.
Well, they have said it all. So the house belongs to you, the mic belongs to you. Anything that you would like to share or say, or even the speakers, whatever they have shared, if you want some clarification somewhere, of course not a fight, not a debate, but feel free, the house is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Lovis Vegas. I am the elected Vice President for the Catholic Association of Goa, also the Joint Secretary for International Human Rights. I want to ask a simple question. First of all, to myself, being a Goan, how many of us are doing a research? See how Goa is being looted and secretly. Now these surveys which are done in Goa from 1971 to 75, before 71 it was done. So there were government officials who were unqualified, kept as collectors and magistrates. And they have done all this rubbish and kept in the court. So today, that same land, after in possession of 41, they have got an order saying that if you are in possession of any land for 41 years, that is yours. So from that year, like these surveys are done and without any consent of any family tree, nor there is any succession deed, nothing is been examined. If you are working in Bombay or if you are working anywhere, which is your fundamental right, your house is gone, your properties are gone, half is sold, and then the time you come to discover, you go in courts. It is such a big torture for all of us. Today after the COVID, we have all realized because a lot of time was given by God for us to think about it. You see, and I am also a person who is a victim because I have seen my properties being sold. There are 17 cases in the CBI where I didn't know anything. Someone makes any person alive, and someone dead person is made alive, and alive people are made dead. And what is this going on? So I want this to put in, since these people are there, father is there, our land is to be protected now. people are running out of Goa, but they don't want to fight, because they don't want to waste their time, years, but they want to earn money. My question is this: where are all the rights gone? The Apex Court has said in 2018 a judgment that all courts should be computerized. None of the courts in Goa are computerized till today. I would even say the trial courts for paperless judgments. Everybody is quiet about it. No one is talking. Lawyers are also quiet about it. There should be some sense of fighting it out, no? Unless we get it to the people, all people must get up.
Okay, thanks for your thought, Mr. Vegas.
That's all.
Mr. Vegas. Okay, although this is not a direct question to the speakers as such, but that is a thought that has been shared by him, and it is about land. And if it is about land, it is also about Father Stan Swamy and all those whom Father Stan Swamy empathized with. My speakers, any of you?
You know, one thing I can add is I understand and I agree that land is under immense pressure and there's a lot of frauds taking place. So let's say that this is private land, jointly owned land. One of the key things is to remain united. If it's my personal land and if I'm fighting for it, it's my fight, right? But imagine if we come together, right? You remember the Melauli case, right? Where all the women led, the men were there to support them, but they really drove the police away, right? It requires that kind of passion. It requires that kind of daring to be able to know that there are dangers, but we will do it, you know, for our children, for our future generations. I, of course, have a different opinion. Especially because of the pandemic, you know, and this realization of living a life of detachment. And what do we own finally when we die and go? Do we own anything, right? And there is great value in sharing what we have. So how can we share? We can come together, you know, as individual owners to protect the land, but with the rider that can we put it to a better use, right? Can we share that land for a common cause? I say everybody has houses. There are people today, maybe senior citizens living alone. So when I was running a community classroom, I would say that this model can be applicable to all villages. There are so many people living alone. Imagine if the house is full of children and you're sharing your space, you're cooking together, you're teaching them. There's so much joy in them. So there are a lot of layers and a lot of things we can do. But the key is to remain united, to fight for our common, you know, assets and with a vision that this is for our future generation.
Excuse me, with reference to what she said, food for thought. If people can come together, consequent to this meeting, and think of establishing a trust, I won't say linked to any particular community, but a trust to take care of such properties which cannot be managed by the owners. And the beneficiaries of the trust should be the owners and other causes. So it's food for thought. If there are people who can come forward, including Lawrence, and there are many others, maybe we could do this. Just think of forming a trust and invite people. Those who are out of India, Burns will gladly bequeath the property, not bequeath, entrust custody of the property with the trust for the beneficiary, for the benefit of the trustees and other causes. It will also be a social cause.
Well, the ideas that are shared over here today are beautiful ideas and very good ideas that will save us and that will bring us together. Let these ideas be turned into action by our hard work, our solidarity and the things that we can put into practice.
Tanula, you take the initiative in getting this thing. You'll get us.
It will help because I can connect you to a lot of people who I met recently and earlier who are thinking on the same lines. They are in the rest of the country where they have land, but they don't want it for self. And they also talked about this idea of forming a trust, and like Auroville had a model where people could come, they don't own land. They can work on the land and accrue the benefits as a community. And therefore there are many people who are doing it. So there is an opportunity in doing it. I can help you connect to people who are also...
No, it's not helping individually. For example, the
Yes,
organizers
yes.
of this session today,
Yes.
they themselves will take the lead.
Sure, sure.
It's basically because we do not have a leader. It is acceptable only in a leader of intellectual and moral stature. Same problem is in war. We have activists in the social field, in the environmental field, in political field, but we do not have a leader that can get all of them together. Professor Finlay has pointed this thing as the main problem in war today being the land. Recently, the journalist, Mr. Sandesh Prabhudas has published a book again identifying land as the main issue. I feel that we need a leader who can take up join all these groups and start a mass movement in the world. We appeal to Professor Finlay to take up the leadership.
See, leadership has to be taken by young blood. I already crossed my 60s. You require a young person with new ideas, not old people like us. And
I will give you an idea.
actually, for protection of rights, it should start from the self. Now, he raised the point about his land and all. If I sleep over my land for 30 years, we can't blame the whole society for that. Correct, no? I have say 15 acres somewhere in Sangye, and I go for work here, there, everywhere, fine. But I don't have a look at my land once a year or once in 2 years, and after 30 years I come and then see who is supposed to protect. I can understand public land being usurped, being given to private capitalists. So there we require a organization, a mass movement. We require community participation. As far as these private lands are concerned, I should not slip over my rights. No? So what is happening in Goa is, I'm not hinting at you, I'm saying generally, not you, generally, it's not you, generally, I should protect my rights. So if tomorrow, say I have got my flat, I will do a fire insurance. I am going out on a trip, I will do this fire and theft insurance. So if I have got property, then I have to assign it to somebody to protect it and pay him some allowance per month. I mean, there are many ways of doing it. If it is my property, what is the point in crying about it after 20 years or 30 years? Not that what is happening is correct, but I am saying I should not fail in protecting my property as I am protecting my all other things. So I am there for this, but that one leader will appear and save us, that will never happen. Those days are gone. Or somebody will come and save us, like Shivaji will save us, or Modi will save us, one leader, those days are gone. We can protect ourselves through a number of small community groups in this today's world. Yeah.
Narayan was not a young man when he took up the leadership.
Doctor, I just want to add one thing. I agree with Doctor. But I just want to say that you've all already said it. So what Doctor is saying about a leader, it means that each one of us has to be that leader. The onus is not on somebody else. And what each of us, you, all of you need to have that leadership and that initiative is to, on trust, bring us together. Because today we see it happening even amongst activists, I'm shocked that even the so-called some activists who we have great regard to, internally there is a lot of conflict. There is some insecurity. Why is that person not doing this? Why is that person not? We should try to not entertain such, statements. Because only if we have solidarity, we will be able to achieve. And again, as I take the lessons from the Melawi women and many others, the tribal communities, how united they are, right? Today in our society, what we lack is unity because we don't have trust. And we should not leave the onus on somebody else to be our leader. We have to each play a part of that leadership. And Doctor, you'll be happy, and Professor Kinley, recently when we had a protest, we had a silent march during the carnival, parade. We walked with a little box painted as the dead body of Tangent City. And while the carnival started at other end, we walked from this end. We were a small group. We were two youngsters, they were under 18. And people got arrested. We got really, we were at the mercy of the assault of the police. But there were these two young boys who stood up and till date are part of various youth groups where they are very vocal, and there is hope that the youngsters will bring about some change. But we need to support and we need to really encourage their trust and the fact that we trust that they will be
कांटो तोपल्याशिवाय दूध गमना हे ऐकलं असतं तुम्ही कांटो तोपल्याशिवाय दूध गमना and of course we have seen that those who are paying have started opening their mouths. Those who are paying have started coming on the streets. The question would be, those who are not yet paying, should they wait till they are paying? कांटो तोपापासून रावपाक जाय. If we are looking for saviors, I don't think any more saviors are going to come, because the Savior has come and Savior abides in us. Savior abides amongst us. So there is no more Savior that is going to come to save us. And as Father Swamy said, I am not a spectator, but I am part. That is what Talula has just said. We are part of that leadership. And if we are part of that leadership, yes, let us carry the charism of Father Swamy. Let us carry the empathy of Father Swamy. And as my speakers have put it before you so nicely, the thoughts that they have, maybe they have not completed or they have not exhausted everything. And even if we are going to have more discussion throughout the night, we are not going to exhaust everything. But one thing for sure, we come together, we empathize, we feel with each other, and of course the ways that are being proposed of having a trust maybe, or having even advocates coming together, architects coming together, businessmen coming together, professors coming together, people coming together, and that is what Father Swamy, I feel, will stand for. And as of course, a lot of spiritualization can be done, lot of logical and even illogical conclusions can be drawn, but there is a propaganda that is going on. Two wrongs do not make one right. Must have heard this before. Two wrongs do not make one right. And if the world today and our leaders today and those who are above us and those who are amongst us are wrong, let us not try to make it right by we being wrong. We will never be able to make that. So let us be right when somebody else is wrong, and if somebody else is wrong, then we need to correct that wrong so that we become right.
I am Rui Ferreira. I stay very close to the Jesuit house, so I know the Jesuit house from young, when it was an old building, old house which was a beautiful afternoon mass on Sundays. Having said that, there are three pillars in a democracy: the political, the executive, and the judiciary. In Father Stan's case, the judiciary did not grant him bail, which is a rule. 4 judges of the Supreme Court came out, and that was the first time there was a tremor of the judiciary. Today, the political system is totally rightist. The executive have to follow the political bosses. But what is the role of the judiciary? Judiciary uses the weapon of contempt and keeps the people in fear. And in Father Stan Swamy, I was reading the following, because being very close to the Jesuits, I know they're a class of intellects, spiritually very strong. It's difficult to be a Jesuit. Spiritually very strong, and yet with a deep message and sense with the earth, connection with the needy. That's what Father Stan Swamy did. But a single Father Stan Swamy was able to cause tremors, whatever it is, tremors in the central government. Then I salute Father Stan Swamy, may his soul rest in peace. But what we need to do, why I tell you this? Because the Jesuits are such a strong force. If I may share with your permission, Father Roland. Sadhana, I'd say, was my teacher in 1975. The first year he began his life in teaching. And he befriended me because I was very full of energy. And he was given accommodation in the Jesuit house. He is the product of the Jesuit house on social activism. He stayed many years here. And so he is the orphan of Jesuit house and brought up by the Salesians, complete product of the Catholic Church. And even the Don Bosco priests were very considerate when he used to go out for protests. But social activism, fighting for the Rampart cars, came from teachings of the Jesuit house to the Jesuits. But what did he do? When he stepped into the horse, he marched with the rightist wing. He marched to the rightist wing. He said, this is what happened to him subsequently. And now we see how many of our people who are fighting for a secular India are marching to the rightist wing. So something is sweeping, a fear, sweeping. But the main savior of ours can be judiciary, because even the 4th pillar, the media is totally today suffocated. So judiciary, till today the judiciary has not said what was placed before the High Court to refuse bail to him. Constitutional Court, bail is the rule, which the High Court, Supreme Court says very often. But a man with Parkinson's, I know some close relatives of mine have Parkinson's. I know how Parkinson's marches on, how difficult it is to live on life. So I know personally what Parkinson's can do to a person. And deny the bail even on medical grounds when they give a bail to other journalists overnight. So something is also drastically wrong in our country. In the judiciary. The judiciary doesn't hold the scale of balance with the band with our eyes. So we must also raise our voices and raise our voices about the judiciary. Till today, what were the charges by the central government on Father Stan Swamy is what I, as a citizen of India, would like to know. A petition has been filed. So let us look forward to know what he was accused. He's dead and gone, may his soul rest in peace, and many carry on his activities before the tribals, like Tarula also live in the indigenous communities and all that. But what were the causes which led to his arrest under the stringent UAPA? A man of 80 could be a threat to the central government and citizens and the government and Prime Minister, most powerful man in the country. What were the reasons? We should all know, and I request Father Bolmax, with your ability of arranging various demonstrations of this, we have to reach out and find out what happened to that petition when somebody filed, what charges were brought on him. Because if it is brought on him and judiciary remains silent and does not release you on bail, which is your right, the fundamental right till you are accused. But this man was arrested and kept in jail, and even medical grounds, such severe medical, were not released on bail. So something we have to know. So in this way, we will, set the law in motion that tomorrow we will not be able to just incriminate other social activities having a religious background. Thank you.
So it enlightens us more and it also makes our spirit want to do something. There are a lot of things that we can do and we should do, and of course let us keep all these thoughts in our mind, but let them not be caged. Let it sing. Let us sing with all these words that have gone into our mind today, this day, during this short period, and let us sing. How the harmony is going to come out, what would be the last final song that will come out, only time will tell. We pray for Father Stan Swamy, and we pray through Father Stan Swamy. I believe he is in heaven, a martyr for us. So for all those who are ready to be martyrs for Goa, for all those who are ready to be martyrs for indigenous people, for all those who are ready to be martyrs for our land, a big salute, and thank you so much for being here and sharing this wonderful thought on the second anniversary of Martydom of Father Stan Swamy. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Father Balmax Pereira, for moderating this session. I would now like to call upon our scholastic Inivo Calister Zwang to give the vote of thanks.
Good evening and thank you for being here today. I am truly honored to have witnessed such an insightful and thought-provoking discussion on the topic, can a caged bird sing? Yes, through us. Truly thought-provoking. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to our esteemed panelist, Mr. Blaise Kostabi, President of Goa Management Association, Managing Director of JMI Zara Molders Private Limited, Professor Prabhakar Timle, Educationist and Political Commentator, Ms. Talula De Silva, Architect and Environmentalist, Advocate Afreen Khan, Member of the Girls Islamic Organization. Your expertise and passion has truly enriched our discussion and shed light on the important issues and impact our society. Each of you have brought a unique perspective to the table, fostering a truly enriching dialogue, and has left us all with such much to reflect upon. A heartfelt thank you goes to Father Balmax Pereira for skillfully moderating the discussion, ensuring a smooth flow of ideas and opinions. Additionally, I would like to acknowledge Ms. Velma Fernandez for the provision hosting of the program. On behalf of the Goa Jesuits and the Collaborative Learning Cafe, I would like to thank each one of you for being part of this discussion. Your engagement and participation has made this discussion truly interactive and dynamic. The knowledge shared and the connections made today will undoubtedly have a lasting impact and have a collective journey towards a better tomorrow. Let us carry the spirit of Father Stan Swamy beyond this room and continue to work together to create positive change in our communities and the world at large. Once again, thank you all. Have a pleasant evening.